Welcome into Illini Drive. We are back. The Tuesday-Thursday show is back. We have some new additions. Eric decided to retire. Really unfortunate. I'm your host, Alec Busse. Once again, Illini Drive. You guys want to introduce yourself for your first show of second semester?
Yeah, sure. I'm Nithin Reddy. I was on the show last year. Took last semester off to study abroad. So.
And then what sports are you covering now? You said women's basketball, right?
Basketball, yeah.
And then DI still, right?
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool. We got a freshman, Carson. This is your second appearance, I think, right?
Very excited to be back on the show. Hopefully it's better than, hopefully it's better than the first one. Right now, I cover hockey for the team, and I do a lot of Big Ten student youth stuff.
I got you. And then our wonderful producer, Gabby, is back, cranking out stories like crazy. I think I saw like 2 or 3 stories of yours today across Twitter.
Oh, wow. My fans. I do it for my fans.
I got to read the one about the gymnast getting the perfect 10 on the beam. I'm intrigued by that one.
That has been one of my favorite stories to write because my Twitter's Gabby_H11. If you want to read my story about Mia, I'm going to say this wrong, Taikawa. She's a freshman gymnast for the Illini, scored a perfect 10 on the beam, has never been done in Illinois program history. That's a really fun story for me to write. I just finished writing that. I've never written anything about gymnastics, so that was really exciting for me and thought I did a decent job. So it was cool. Yeah, I liked it. I don't know too much about gymnastics, but I got to watch some video of Mia, and those athletes are talented.
Yeah.
That's a very underrated sport, I think, or just like under talked about of how athletic these gymnasts are, men's and women's. Insane.
It's one of my favorite sports to watch in the Summer Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Women's gymnastics, I like watching it.
Women's gymnastics in the Olympics is the only thing I watch, not going to lie.
Oh, swim?
Okay, yeah.
Track field.
Yeah, I watch track.
Okay, sorry.
I watch basketball if like the U.S. is on too.
Such blowouts.
I don't watch basketball.
Yeah, but it's like a super
That's like
team.
fake basketball.
Yeah, but it's like a
not real.
super team and it's just so much fun to watch.
I guess.
All right, so obviously it's been a huge week in the world of basketball. With the tragic passing of Kobe Bryant, we're going to hit on that first. We have a lot of Illinois basketball to talk about because Illinois basketball might be good, which is crazy to think about.
They're good.
They might be really good.
In a non-biased opinion.
Yes, they might actually be very good. And then we're also going to hit on some Big Ten women's volleyball news related to Illinois. And then Gabby and I aren't going to get a chance to talk about the Super Bowl because we're not going to be here on Thursday. So we're going to give our picks for the Super Bowl. And so let's get started. First things first, you guys just want to like tell your story about how you heard about the Kobe thing? Because I kind of feel bad about how I found out. I was actually at the Arc playing basketball in my fraternity's hoops league. And we played at like 60 points, so it's a pretty long game, and there's subs. And I subbed out, and one of my buddies on the other team said, Kobe just died. And I was like, what? I immediately pulled out my phone, searched his name on Twitter, and all of these tweets just came up about him passing away, and I was kind of like at a disbelief, but I wasn't like exactly focused on it. Then once the game ended and I got home and I turned on the TV, that's when it like hit me. And I was like, wow, like Kobe Bryant's dead. And it honestly, it's just surreal. Like every day I've woken up since, it's like the first thing I see on my Instagram or Twitter timeline. And I sent out a 4 or 5 tweet thread last night of just about all the amazing things that various people have said about him. I love the Elle Duncan thing she did on SportsCenter talking about Kobe being a girl dad and how he died doing what he loved most, being a dad. The Jimmy Fallon one I thought was great, with him talking about how they were both nobodies at the time they met and both kind of breaking into what they would both be known for the most. And Jay Williams' speech on SportsCenter the day he passed, I guess it would have been Sunday, was heartwarming, and I think it was just a good reminder to tell everyone that we love them, and be open with the things we have going on in our lives. But it's just a heartbreaking thing, just absolutely heartbreaking that those 9 individuals pass away in a helicopter crash, and the kids being 13 years old, not having an opportunity to live out their dreams, and it's just heartbreaking for me.
I was calling the wrestling meet, and I just get a text, and I look down, and it says, Kobe's dead. My dad sent it, and I just like couldn't. I was quiet for like 2 minutes during like the match. It was just so unbelievable, like the stuff he was able to do for the game. Now he like how great of like a legend he is. You know, he had the number 8 era, then he had the number 24 era, and what he's done, like what you said for like the WNBA was great, and how good of a father he was. It was just, I feel so bad for like the kids and the parents. Like Kobe Bryant invites you on his helicopter, you're gonna say yes. You know what I mean? And just so tragic because there's so many people affected by this.
So similar to you, Alec, I was playing basketball. I was just across the street from my apartment complex, and these guys just come up. They want to play, so I play. And then halfway through, someone gets a text saying Kobe's dead, and I was just in shock. So like immediately, like you, I looked it up. I went on Google, and I saw the TMZ report, and I was like, okay, this has to be fake. I mean, it's Kobe Bryant. Like, I just couldn't believe it. 5 minutes go by, I start to see the tweets come in. Woj finally tweets, and then it really sets in. But honestly, it really hasn't fully set in because Kobe's like this mythical figure that we've seen throughout our lives. And he's been there basically the entire time. And he's just been phenomenal. He's basically our version of Jordan that we've been able to witness, honestly.
For me, I was actually right here at the DI office. I was just sitting in on production, and someone just said it, and I was sitting next to Brendan Jones. He's on the Monday Wednesday show, and we just kind of looked at each other and we were like, no. And we started looking up. All these tweets started coming in, and that's pretty much how I heard about it. But I kind of want to talk a little bit about like just the after effects. I think as a journalist, like we all are, it was really heartbreaking to see all these professional journalists tweet all these wrong things, all these wrong assumptions about who was on the helicopter, what had actually happened. That was really hard for me to process because it's not just this tragedy, but it, obviously you have Kobe Bryant and Gigi Bryant and these families involved, and it's big for the sports world, but also just journalism in general. That's not the way it should be done. It's not in a tragedy like that. It shouldn't be just the first news organization to get the information out. It should be about facts. And I think that was really hard for me to see, just trying to pursue this field, seeing all these professionals handle it in the wrong way. But then, on the flip side, everything on social media these past couple days, I've taken a lot of time to think about it because just thinking about focusing on, Gigi and Kobe and their, career in sports, even though Gigi's was really short, it reminds me of, in a very small way, me and my dad, just because seeing all these girl dad tweets, that hashtag going around. My dad is the person who is the reason why I'm so passionate about sports and so knowledgeable about sports. I've talked a little bit with my dad on the show before. I'm sure Alec knows, but like he texts me all the time, telling me about my stories and everything, telling me what happened, this and that. And I think that was just kind of a moment of reflection for me. And I think everybody had a moment of reflection when you see someone like Kobe Bryant passes away tragically. But obviously such a tragic situation, but seeing all these positive things on social media, like all these videos of him, just laughing and, just sharing those moments that we've all seen and grew up watching, and then seeing his connection with Gigi and people just putting that on display in a very like positive light, I think has lifted everyone up, because you guys can agree. I mean, this is something that like shocked to the world. Like this, not even just basketball, not even just, sports, like everybody knows Kobe Bryant, everybody knows that name. So I think just something I wanted to comment on was just like the positive social media presence. And I think it's just something that brings the sports world together. Because, you see people in football, every sport is coming together to, talk about this and deal with this. So I just think it's really, shown what the sports world is like. Especially all four of us love sports, so we don't have to argue about that. But, people who are skeptical about what sports mean and why sports mean so much, I think this is such a good reminder that sports are bigger than life, and you guys can attest to that too. But it's pretty much all I have to say about it.
No, I think you said that very well in a lot of different places. And one final comment on it for me is, you mentioned like the journalism at the time and how a lot of it was first report and a lot of new things came out. And I couldn't imagine covering an event like that. That would be insanely difficult. But reading some of the articles that have been published, Bill Pulaski did an amazing column for the LA Times about Kobe and his relationship with Kobe and how they both kind of started in Los Angeles at the same time, and his relationship with him and how heartbroken he was to have to write that. And that piece was amazing to read. And I read a couple of articles on The Athletic about Kobe and the impact he had, whether it was with USA Basketball or on Giannis. I read that one this morning, and I'm forgetting a few, but the amount of stories and positive things that a lot of journalists have said, like you said, Gabby, are inspiring. I was listening to Ramona Shelburne talk about how special her relationship with Kobe was, because by the end of Kobe's career, she wanted to do a story on him, and he was kind of like, everything's already been said about me. What else is left to be said? And she simply asked, what else is left to be said? Which is a great question, by the way. And he goes, I want my legacy to be remembered more than just a basketball player. And I think that feeds into what Kobe was going for after he retired. And that was an amazing career in the media industry with producing film. And I mean, he won an Oscar less than 3 years after he retired. That's insane. He was an amazing basketball coach for his daughter's team, and the inspirational things that he did for them, whether it was the participation trophy and turning them from a team that was losing by 50 points to beating everyone by 50 points. Kobe was an inspirational person, and he was able to not let one bad moment in his life define who he was. He very easily could have let that been how everyone remembered him, and no one has mentioned that bad event in his life in the last couple of days. And that's because he fixed it, and he went out of his way to make himself better for the sport, for his family, for his kids, and to be a better father, husband, and just person. And I think that's what, when he talks about he wants to be memorized for his legacy more than his basketball career, he deserves that. And he's getting that right now.
Obviously earned his spot as legendary. I think everybody knows that. But that's Kobe for now. That's what we have to say for now. But I guess we can go into a more positive basketball topic.
Let's head on it.
Let's do it. Number 19.
Let's do it. Illinois basketball moves up 2 spots this week in the AP poll. You know, it's crazy. The last show I think we did was before bragging rights, before break. And it was like, all right, is this team like good, or are they like not good?
We were like, I don't know. I think we both picked them to win bragging rights.
And then they looked horrible.
And they looked
That was a
bad.
tough loss.
Very tough.
I'll tell you what, covering that game.
I was at that game with my dad, and we were just sitting there, and we were like, really? This is what we drove 4 hours for?
There was a fan that was like, that's the second year in a row, Brad. And like, Brad got pissed and everything.
Yeah.
So, you know how you can attest to this for basketball? We go into the media room, wait for the opposing team goes first. That's how it was at bragging rights. Mizzou went first, Konzo Martin, and those players went first. And then they finish. Media's still waiting there for Brad Underwood and the Illinois players. I forget the players, but we waited there for like 30 minutes, at least. Just waiting.
Not surprising.
And there's people just sitting there talking like, all right, like, are they going to come out, or like, are we going to be able to ask them questions? And eventually they come, and you can just see the look on their face, and they're like, dang, like, this is bad. But then a switch just flipped. A switch flipped.
Complete flip.
At North Carolina A&T, they moved Io off the ball offensively. Defense starts just clicking everything. Trent starts making shots. This looks like a new team. And I know they lost by 20 at one point to Michigan State, but that was deceiving. They didn't shoot well in the second half.
You're going to have
Michigan
a loss
State
here and there. It
played
can't
really
be
well.
Flat out wins, the whole Big Ten season. But
right now, this team is tied with Michigan State for first place in the Big Ten at 15-5 overall, 7-2 in the Big Ten. It's the latest that Illinois has been first in the Big Ten since January 31st of 2006. That was D. Brown and James Augustine's senior year. They've won 6 straight for the first time since 04-05. The last time Illinois played, 6 straight Big Ten games. First time they've done that since 04-05 when they won like 24 games in a row in the Big Ten.
25,
good call. And then they have a 3-2 road Big Ten record, which is the best in the Big Ten. What is happening in Champaign? I'm like just waiting for it to fall. I'm just waiting for it to all come crashing down. But like, I don't know if it doesn't.
This game's huge against Minnesota. This is like the game. Like you can't like just sleep by Minnesota and get ready for the back-to-back Maryland, Michigan State, Iowa. Like they need to win this game.
And Minnesota just won against who? They had a big win.
They beat Ohio State on the road last week.
Michigan State beat them, but they're a sneaky team. You know, like
I mean Michigan State is great, obviously, but Minnesota, you can't. That's the thing is you can't come off this high of winning on the road 2 weeks in a row, and then you're back at home. You know, everybody's excited, and then you kind of just like fall.
I think a big part, just like Daniel Otero, he's going to get his points. You know, we can't let him have 35. And the way Kofi played, he was bad against Michigan. There's no way he plays bad like 2 games in a row like that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, he's been obviously outstanding. So I think that's a fluke thing. You know, Michigan's big, and I think Kofi, I mean, obviously we can talk a lot about Kofi, but the one thing with Kofi, and, you know, there's been some NBA rumors, you know, floating around, but he still is really raw and has games like that, and that's when you see, okay, he is still a freshman. He is still growing. But kind of like you said, that's very rarely going to happen 2 games in a row. What, he just won Big Ten Freshman of the Week for the 7th time?
Oh, yeah, well, his Purdue game is like insane.
Insane. Yeah. So, I mean, personally, I can't not talk about Illinois basketball right now and, like, not smile because, like, I mean, Alec, I know, I'm not sure how long you guys have been following Illinois basketball, but I know me and Alec have been fans our whole life. So it's, like, hard with the journalism side than the fan side because you get, like, so happy. But then it's like, okay, I'm covering this team. Like, it's just normal. But it's really exciting even just as a journalist because you're covering a top 20 team, and they're on the 6-game win streak. I mean, I was at a place Saturday for the game, undisclosed place.
How was Lion?
Okay, thanks, Alec. And I was watching the game there, and just like the energy of everybody with like all the students, it was so fun because it's, you know, everyone's cheering for Iowa, and, you know, you're just watching on the TV, but it's so cool to see this fan base kind of come alive again. And it's deserving. I mean, Illinois basketball has put their fans through some stuff the past decade, honestly, and for this to, you know, it's finally rolling. And, you know, you don't want to jinx anything because it's been a bit, but they're rolling. I don't know, Nithin, if you...
I mean, sweeping Michigan, sweeping Purdue, those are two things we just haven't done in the last 10 years.
Just add on to that, they haven't beat Wisconsin, Purdue, and Michigan in the same season since 0405 when they went to the national title.
So if we beat at Ohio State, we have something up on the 0405 team.
Yes.
Yeah.
The problem is that we got to play 5 straight ranked teams coming up.
Yep.
And that's going to be tough. But, I mean, this defense is clearly one of the best in the Big Ten, if not the country. The problem is it's pretty clear. It's just the half-court offense. When we get in transition, easy buckets every time. But the problem is we get a little stagnant in half-court, and if teams slow us down, that's really going to be the big concern come against Minnesota and in the future of the Big Ten.
You mentioned the defense. I can add on to that. Right now, they're second in the Big Ten through Big Ten play and defensive efficiency, which is insane improvement since last season. They're number 1 in 2-point field goal defense in the Big Ten. They're second in 3-point field goal defense in the Big Ten. And then I think this is also where you've seen a lot of improvement. They're number 4 in defensive rebounding percentage. And a lot of that goes to Kofi because of the impact he's had. He's averaging like 9.4, 9.6 rebounds a game, just shy of 10. That's where they've seen the most improvement is on the defensive end. And I feel like we were talking on the show going into the season was if they are better defensively, this team can really make a run. But I don't think we thought that they would be this good defensively. And now I think the offense is really starting to come around to maybe what we thought it was going to be. And it took adjustments and it took time. And you and Eric last semester always talked about, well, it takes time to like figure these things out. And I was saying, no, there's only one new piece and they had 10 extra practices over the summer. The reason why I think it took so much extra time was because they changed so much offensively.
Well,
and
I mean,
defensively, that they just changed so much. And now they've gone back a little bit to what they were doing last year offensively with giving Trent the ball more, letting Io play off the ball. And Brad gave a really good quote last week after the Northwestern game saying that it opens up angles and it allows Io to drive and it allows Georgie to pop out for a baseline jumper or pop out for a three, which he's starting to hit a little bit more consistently. And it allows Io to be more dynamic, and he doesn't have to control everything. And it allows Trent to shoot, and it allows other people to get open, whether that's an Alan Griffin when he's on the court, whether that's a Kipper Nichols to look like he actually knows what he's doing on offense and handle the basketball.
I honestly...
It's the puzzle pieces are coming together, and it's nice to see because I haven't seen it in like 7 years for Illinois on a consistent basis, like you were mentioning. So,
I mean, I want to give a lot of credit to Underwood because beginning of the season, like you said, it just wasn't there. Nothing was there. The chemistry wasn't there. There was some leadership questions, but I feel like he sat down and he realized he had to change some things. He had to change the lineup. Now we see DeMonte in there instead of Andres Feliz. And on paper, Feliz is better statistically, so you assume that he should just be that starter. Same with Alan Griffin, but you have someone like DeMonte who's just tough out there. I mean, he's not a scorer. He's not a scoring threat, but he's out there. He's defensively tough. He'll always run to the ball. He'll always get on the floor, and then that gives you room off the bench to have Allen, Felice, Kipper off the bench and bring in some offensive production, because it's like when you have Felice out there to start, you're not bringing a ton of production off the bench. And I think Underwood saw that, and he analyzed that. He looked at film, and he changed that. Like you said, he also changed some schemes. He changed, we saw at the beginning of the season, Georgie couldn't really find his role. I mean, I don't think he's not where he was last year.
It's like a square piece trying to fit into a circular hole sometimes, I think.
But he's finding his way, and I think that can go back to Underwood telling him, his job kind of right now is to find Kofi, get those passes. I think Underwood and Io, Trent, they've all talked about Georgie's passing abilities into the post. I mean, Kofi raves about, Georgie's ability to find him. And I think that really just stems back to Underwood mixing some pieces around and taking responsibility for some of the flaws that were happening. And, you didn't see that last year. You didn't see a lot of change from Underwood. And I think what's happened is everyone's kind of holding themselves accountable, whether it is a coach, whether it is a player, anybody, training staff, whoever. It seems like everyone's holding themselves accountable right now. And that's kind of where I see the puzzle pieces starting to fit together. And I mean, Trent and Io cannot stop raving about each other. Their chemistry this year, 1,000 times better than last year. You see it, they know it. They've talked a lot about that. So I think it's just things off the court are starting to come together. People are changing, and I think that's why this team is so successful right now. Carson, Nithin, you have anything to add to that?
I love the depth this year, obviously. It's good, but it just feels like, where's Io going to take us? You know what I mean? He closes out all these games. Northwestern, that looks like a church team, and we only won by 4. We needed him down the stretch. Wisconsin made the big 3. I'm just nervous, in the tournament time when Io has a bad game, who's going to step up for him?
I mean, we see that with Trent, though, and Felice. There are other guys. Io's clearly the best. I mean, he's playing like he wants to be a first-round pick, and he's honestly playing like he deserves to be a first-round pick right now. But the thing that I think is going to matter a lot is going to be Trent and Alan Griffin, because three-point shooting is probably the biggest weakness of this offense, and those are your two best shooters. I mean, we saw Trent against Purdue. He was phenomenal. And we know how valuable Alan Griffin is. I mean, he's almost shooting 40% from 3. So I think that's going to be basically the X factor come tournament time, because teams are going to start to sag off. They're going to start to double and triple team Kofi like they've been already.
That is a good point. We're going to continue to talk about Illinois basketball after the break. It is Illini Drive. We are back. It is Illini Drive. I am your host, Alec Busse, and we're going to hit more on Illinois basketball for the next couple of minutes. We're going to start.
Well, first, let me shout out my mom.
Okay, yeah. You can.
My mom's great.
Hi, Mom. Love you.
Hi, Mom. You're awesome. as well as Dad. Okay,
Now I feel
moving
about
on.
making the lion comment because I didn't realize your parents were listening.
My parents know what goes on.
Okay, good.
Anyways. Yeah, let's talk about Io.
Yeah, let's talk about Io. Okay, so Io came into the season with probably really unrealistic expectations of people saying he was going to be a lottery pick. I don't know if that was actually true or even possible, considering the type of player he is. However, in the last 5 games, he looks like a bona fide first-round pick, probably one of the best guards in the Big Ten, probably the best player in the last 5 minutes of a close game in the country over the last couple of weeks. In his last 5 games, I wrote this down, he has 19.2 points a game, 5.4 assists a game, had 11 against Purdue, a career high, and a double-double, 5 rebounds a game. He's shooting 53.7% from the field, and that's not just layups. His mid-range game has been deadly, and his three-point percentage is up to 40%, and that's something that early in the year, it was hovering around like 27, 28. If he can get that up to about 32, 33, somewhere in that range down the stretch on a consistent basis for the season, I think you're looking at an Io DeSumo who can lead this team. You can count on him, and he's really being the player that Brad Underwood needs him to be, especially off the ball, and he's making his teammates better right now, and that's something that earlier in the season I wasn't saying. That's something that a lot of people weren't saying, was that he didn't have the ability to take over games, and he wasn't making his teammates better. He made his teammates a lot better against Purdue. I mean, when you're dishing out 11 assists, that's impressive. And
That's 11. That's great.
yeah, and he should have had more against Northwestern. Guys just weren't making shots, and he had a really good passing game against Rutgers too, but that was just a really bad shooting game for both teams. And he moved the ball really well against Michigan too, and when he needed to, especially early in the game when Trent was making shots. So
Doesn't it?
Io's elevated this team and the floor of this team immensely.
Doesn't it just make you feel some type of way when you see Io like do this, like the vein thing, the ice in the veins? Doesn't that just like, I don't know? I just
like when he turns around and he's just like bangs his head and his hair just flops
I know,
all over
it's
the
like-
place. I'm like,
it's just like-
nice
The
shot,
flopping
Io.
hair. I like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I love
I
it.
feel like he just has this ability to really electrify this team and bring this team together. Obviously, we knew who Io was coming into his freshman year. We knew he's a prospect for the NBA draft. We know the skills he has. But, last year, times were a little bit shaky. He obviously showed his leadership ability and he showed his talent, but it was never super consistent. Now you have this stretch, and over the last 5 games, I think you mentioned the stat, averaging 19.2 points. Io's stats are drilled into my head right now because I just wrote a little story about him, but he is just unstoppable in the last couple minutes of the game. It's like every team knows that the ball's going to be in Io's hands, but for some reason, no one can stop him. And I mean, you see in the Michigan game, the pull-up jumper on Xavier Simpson, one of the best guards, I would say, in the Big Ten. I mean, one of the most mature,
He's one of the
experienced.
best on-ball defenders
Exactly.
in the Big Ten.
And you shoot the ball over him, and for everybody that was watching that game, you kind of see Simpson just like sigh and put his hands on his hips because there was nothing else he could have done to defend Io. I mean, Brad said it in the press conference. That was such a well-guarded play. Io just made the shot. He did it, and he does it every game, it seems like. It just seems like you're watching the end of a close game. It's like I feel like as someone who covers it, or even as a fan, it's like this growing confidence in Io, and you could see it in him. You could see it in the team. Him and Trent have talked about the confidence with each other. Just Trent has the confidence for Io to, take the ball, score it himself, but Io also has the confidence to dish it to Trent when he isn't there, and I think that just speaks a lot to Io's passing game that has evolved, talking about his assists. He's just an all-around player right now and leading the Illini in a lot of different ways than the stat sheet can show.
Just simple things like making his free throws. Like last year, he was a 69% shooter. He's missed four free throws since December. Just like you can count on him to end the game.
And I mean, the 2 things you need come tournament time, good defense and a guard that can score. That's exactly what Illinois has with this unbelievably good defense that I didn't see coming. and Io's just taking it to the next level. I mean, he's getting to the rim whenever he wants to. He's hitting that mid-range jumper, and his three-point shooting is getting better. He's also, we talked about his on-ball defense. I mean, he's 6'5". He's got this huge frame. He's guarding point guards and shooting guards. These guys can't keep up with him. And, I mean, I don't know if anyone can, honestly.
He's playing the best that he's played during his Illinois career. I mean, I think that Purdue game was the best game he's had in his
all around
2 years here. I mean, a lot of people will probably say that the Michigan game is right up there with it in the Michigan State game last year. But I got to give it to the Purdue game because he finished with 18 points and 11 assists. And I think he had 5 rebounds or 7 rebounds in that game too. Like, he was a couple rebounds shy of a triple-double. Like, he played out of his mind in that game, and the whole team just shot the ball insanely in that second half against Purdue and West Lafayette. But it's not just him. Like, everyone else is just starting to find a role, and that's what I kind of hit on in the first segment was that Trent's found a role on the ball again. They've given him the keys, and they've said, Trent, go score. Go be who you are. Be a scorer. And
watching Trent drive to the hoop now I love it because I feel like, you always think of Trent as, your three-point guy, your jump shooter, but he's been getting to the rim too. And I think being that kind of, I guess using a football term, like dual threat, he can do both. And, he's a force on the perimeter, but he can also get to the hoop. And, he's smaller compared to, the big post guys, and he can get over them. And I think, like you're saying, just the roles, I mean, and then you speak to Trent's defense. I mean, I feel like you can't even pinpoint a word for his
Big Ten.
Yeah.
Maybe a Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year.
It's insane. And to watch him evolve that defense, like that was not there last year. I mean, he's always been a solid defender, don't get me wrong, but that lockdown defense that every game, he has the best player. I mean, there's
just fun matchups.
I don't have that many words to even describe his defensive success this season.
He's complete. Like, he's become a complete player, and that's something we haven't seen in the past because he's a smaller guy, to be honest. But he's attacking the rim now, and he's one of the best free throw shooters on the team, which helps a lot.
He shoots like over 90%. Trent.
From the free throw line?
From the free throw line?
Oh, yeah, he rarely misses.
Yeah.
He's just been playing so well, and his play has increased as this team's play has increased. Same with Io's, and it's almost like if those two go, this team goes. The games where they've played really well together, this team has gone out and they've played really, really well. And the same goes with Kofi. But the thing is, like, they don't need Kofi to go out and have 15 points and 11 rebounds to win against a good team. I mean, they just beat Michigan, and he played his worst game of the season. He had 5 points and 3 rebounds or something like that.
It's just you have so many weapons now.
Yeah, and they're guards. Like you said, when tournament time comes around, you need guards because guards are the ones that make plays.
You need a Kemba Walker.
That's what won
every
over
team's
both
trying to
their
get.
championships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Guards win championships because they like control the pace and all that stuff.
They're the one. Kofi needs someone to get him the ball to score.
Yeah.
Io doesn't need someone to get him the ball to score. And I think that's where this team can really, really make improvement is just ball movement now. Now they're in a flow offensively. Just keep moving the ball. Underwood talks all the time about not letting it stick and getting into a flow and a rhythm. Now you find that, and your offense becomes so much harder to guard, especially if Georgie can step out and hit a jump shot. And
Georgie's jumper, decent.
Getting better.
He shoots a 3, I scream, and then he makes it.
I know. I'm
But,
like, "Ow," and then he's like,
still don't
"Okay."
take it, though.
No, but like his little sideline jumper, just
His baseline jumper isn't bad, yeah.
baseline. Yeah, that's what I was.
I feel like this team's gotten too good now where,
He's
before this-
32% from 3 this season.
who,
Georgie.
I mean,
That's not
1.6.
bad.
I mean, that's not
That's not
bad.
big.
He's
Man.
10 of
For-
31 for 32.3% from 3.
I think it's at the point where his 3-point shot looks decent. It looks like
If it's open, take it.
yeah.
He didn't take it in the first half against Michigan.
It's open a lot, and I think he's starting to figure out when to take it and when to not because sometimes you see on the sideline Brad kind of look at him like, really?
Yeah.
But I think that's something Underwood has grown a little trust in Georgie's shot, so Georgie can take those a few times. So I think the past few games he's limited those takes, but is capitalizing on the ones he does shoot.
You guys want to make picks for Minnesota
For
on Thursday
Minnesota,
night?
yeah, real
let's
quick.
do it.
I'll go first. I'm really, really excited to just see the environment inside State Farm Center. Like, it's going to be Assembly Hall loud.
Well,
Like, throwback
Indiana
Assembly Hall
sold
loud.
out.
Yeah.
Indiana is sold out. When's that game?
March 1st, right?
March 1st. It's early March.
Yeah.
That game is going to be a lot of fun.
But even this game,
But this
there's a
game's gonna
lot
be
of
fun
hype.
because, like, the Northwestern game, the Orange Crush wasn't here. And
Yeah.
that's going to be a big deal. Orange Crush is going to be out. It's going to be packed. It's going to be loud. This stadium, even though it might not be sold out, is going to be insanely filled. It's going to be filled with orange. It's going to feel like an older, like, mid to late 2000s Illinois basketball, I feel like, where everyone's excited to be in there and be in that stadium. And you beat Minnesota. If they somehow beat Iowa on the road, those
That's
two
gravy,
games against
though.
Maryland and Michigan State are going to be some of the best that this stadium has seen in a long time. And I think they beat Minnesota because I think Kofi has a bounce back game. I think Oturu is still going to get his.
Yeah.
But I think that Kofi is bigger than him, and he was really successful against Stick Smith at Maryland. I think Iowa's going to continue to play well, and I think Trent's going to continue to step up on the defensive end. I'll give Illinois the nod at 72 to 63. I haven't seen a betting line, so that's...
All
I'll
We're
take
just
a
throwing
9.5.
it.
Probably like
We're
3.5.
just throwing it out there.
72 to 63, I'll take it.
Okay. Nithin.
I mean, we've already talked about this so much. This team is the most fun team we've had in at least 6 years, 7 years, I guess. Probably, like, honestly, like 10 years. And I agree. The State Farm Center is going to be rocking.
It's going to be
It's gonna be
so
fun.
much fun.
I'm so excited for this game. I mean, this is probably the most excited I've been in years, and it's all because of just the momentum we've been building up. 6 straight. I'm worried that this might be a trap game a little bit, but I still think we're going to win. I think it's going to be low scoring, though. I think it'll be like 62, 56, something like that.
It's just like before the season, if you said Illinois makes the round of 64, we would take it. But I feel like this team's gotten too good now where, like, if we don't win a tournament game, it's going to be a disappointment. Like, this team's just been off the charts. For the win, like, I think they're probably going to beat Minnesota. I think it's going to be a tough game, 71-65. Like, Io has to just make his free throws. Mostly, I think Kofi's going to come back. Like, he can't play that bad again. And I just trust Io in this.
I'll go win. I'm going to go, let me see.
Basketball score projections.
68-62. I saw it.
First
I
to
just saw it.
71.
68-62. That's my score.
I don't like basketball score projections.
Do we think Kofi's going to get a double-double real quick?
Yes.
No.
No.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Carson's an outlier.
Exactly 10.
Exactly 10.
Oturu is really good at
10 of
rebounding.
each?
I mean, Oturu,
No, just 10 rebounds.
10
Oturu
rebounds?
averages
Okay.
11.3
We'll
rebounds
get
a
a couple
game.
blocks, though.
Yeah, he will. That'll be a really interesting game. ESPN's Basketball Power Index has given Illinois a 74.4% chance to beat Minnesota
I like
on,
those odds.
We
on
going to get
Thursday.
Dockage calling our game? No, it's on FS1.
Oh, thank God.
I'd rather be on ESPN. All right, let's shift to
volleyball.
Illinois volleyball. Some news came out today. On Instagram, Morgan O'Brien announced that she's going to graduate early. She is a libero for this Illinois team. She has started the last 2 years on the Final Four team and on a tournament team this year. Really good player, really consistent server. Gabby, you covered this volleyball team in the fall.
I did.
How much of a loss is Morgan O'Brien?
This is a tough one. Tough loss for Illinois. Just because she's a veteran. She's been a very consistent defender. You don't see her make many mistakes. She didn't, I mean, I don't have the stats on me right now, but watching, she rarely made an error. I mean, and she's not even that, she's just one of the hardest working people on the court. You know, she's diving for everything. She's always on the floor. She's always getting after it. I think just that mentality that she has, losing that is really hard for Illinois, and, you know, kind of expecting her to be a leader next year, one of the seniors. That it's pretty devastating for Thomas and the Illini. But Alec, we were talking, you have Taylor Cooper, who was mainly defensive specialist this year. Very aggressive server. She does commit a good amount of errors. I think she had the second most errors behind Jacqueline Quaid, serving errors.
Yeah, but Quaid was also insanely aggressive.
Yeah, and so
she's
Cooper's also very aggressive, which Thomas likes. Thomas has always said he wants aggressive servers, but it's just hard because then you lose Morgan O'Brien, who's a more consistent server. So I think you're going to have to see Taylor Cooper, who will be a junior next year, kind of in that veteran role. She played a lot freshman and sophomore year for the Illini, so I think it's kind of a little bit on her right now to assume that leadership role and step up. I think she has the talent to do it. She, again, like Morgan, very aggressive on the court, diving for everything. You know, she's always going after the ball, and she's a really smart player. She makes a lot of good reads on, you know, just serving and everything. So I think it's a really tough loss for Illinois, but I think you have some pieces there that can step up, and I know there's a couple freshmen who didn't really get much playing time this year who are mainly defensive specialists. I don't know. I don't have...
Alyssa Esky and Madison Shee.
Yeah, I was thinking of... Esky had got some playing time, I think, near the end of the season. So that just shows that Thomas had some confidence in her as a freshman to go in there and, you know, make the right moves, make the right plays. So I think there's pieces there that they can really build on, but obviously a veteran who's going to be senior, that's always going to be a hard loss.
The thing with this year's team, the one that just finished, they lacked leadership and they lacked a competitive fire that they had under Jordan Poulter. And I know a lot of people expected Jacqueline Quaid to assume that role. That's just not her personality. I don't really think that was Morgan O'Brien's personality either.
Yeah, not that, like...
And that's not a shot, but like there's just some people who have
She's
a more
more
competitive, outspoken, in-your-face leadership that every team I think needs. This year's team didn't have it. I don't know who does that next year either. I mean, I'm looking at the roster right now. I think that... I mean, I don't know if Megan Cooney can do it, but like, I feel like she's almost a little bit laid back. I feel like if there's one person who would do it, I could see Kennedy Collins being that.
Yeah.
And here's an interesting one. Micah Allison, maybe.
I could see her. She's very, you know, outgoing person. She's always a good interview to talk to. You know, she's very... I think you could just see how competitive she was by switching positions for the Illini this year. She just wants to be on the court.
Maybe Diana Brown, too.
I think Diana Brown is going to have an awesome year next year.
She's going to be really good.
She is. And I think she could be that person. You kind of saw it at the end of the year. She was very outspoken on the court at the end of the year, and obviously that's what you need from your setter, and that's what you got from Jordan Poulter. But I do agree that Morgan is kind of a laid back, kind of do her thing leader.
But you need those people though, too.
She's always gonna do her thing, and you know, make the save she needs to make the dig she needs to make. But I do agree she wasn't a Jordan Poulter type of leader, but someone has to step into that role this year or coming next year. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah.
She did a really good job of feeding off of the emotion that other players created, because as a libero, you don't really get the opportunity to create a lot of emotion.
You
like, you don't really get to get a kill. I mean, I think she had one kill this season.
Yeah,
but like,
maybe.
She does have the ability to make a lot of nice digs. But anyway, that's a tough loss. It'll be interesting to see how they fill it. Maybe transfer market, potentially. They were pretty successful in that last season, so maybe they look at that again. Yeah.
You also have Ellie Holzman, who is Gatorade Player of the Year. She was out all this season. She's a hitter.
Next year, I think, is going to be a little bit down.
You think so? I think next year's may really up. The freshman...
I think losing Jacqueline Quaid is just going to be too much to overcome.
I don't know. We'll revisit it.
We'll revisit it in the fall, because we're probably going to be on the same show again.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Okay.
All right. Anyway, let's move to Super Bowl. In case you knew, it's Super Bowl week. We're going to do that after the break. It is Illini Drive. Welcome back into Illini Drive. Just a reminder that Illini Drive is brought to you by the University of Illinois Division of Intercollegiate Athletics. FightingIllini.com. Unify, develop, inspire, achieve. It is Illini Drive. It is Super Bowl week. I feel like that thing creeps up on me, especially now that I'm like so invested into college basketball, and I'd rather watch college basketball than watch the NFL, to be completely honest with you. Especially this year, because it's a lot more fun to watch. Chiefs versus 49ers, unless you live under a rock. it's been a pretty interesting ride. I feel like the 49ers came out of nowhere, and no one was like picking them at the beginning of the year. Out of the NFC West, everyone was picking the Rams. Good for the 49ers. I feel like they've kind of righted the ship after last season, considering Garoppolo was out all year. They get the 3rd pick overall. They get a Bosa brother, which I think is really funny to hear him joke about. It's like, it's a blessing that Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt all of last year, and we got the 3rd pick, and now we get Nick Bosa, and we have
Garoppolo is so deserving. Just like, I feel like playing behind Tom Brady for so long, obviously that was like probably a fun time for him, but at the same time, he's like, I want to play, I want my time, and now, it's a couple of years on his own, and here he is in the Super Bowl.
That trade is like the steal of the century. A 2nd-round draft pick for Jimmy G. It's like that 2nd-round draft pick was like some random corner.
Now, if you're the Pats, though, you didn't really have anything to do with
you had
it
to give him
anymore.
that huge deal.
But no, it's a steal for the 49ers. Kind of. It's kind of a steal because
I don't know.
I would have got rid of Brady. I would have cut him. I would have done like what Steve Young.
Wow.
You traded 15 years of success for like 2 years.
Brady.
You don't think Garoppolo could have won a championship?
They
could still
they
draft
just
a
won a
guy.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think Garoppolo could have won that.
I
Though.
don't know about that.
interesting.
I mean, he could have, but they did win with Brady.
I understand.
And I still feel like Brady's a pretty solid quarterback despite having no weapons.
Still top 10 in my opinion.
Maybe.
I would have done what the 49ers
You give him
did with
weapons.
Young.
Did you name 9 guys?
With, like,
If you give him
NFL?
weapons, yeah, he's a top 10 quarterback.
Who?
Yeah, I mean,
Brady.
exactly. I'm not saying.
What do
like,
you
top 10.
mean? Of
Right
course
now.
he's a top 10. Oh, right now?
Yeah, like right now.
Like this season?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't
I mean, this
great.
season, statistically, he was not a top 10
I thought you were talking
quarterback.
about all
no, he's a
time.
great-
You
he's
were
probably
saying
the
he's
best
not.
quarterback
I
of
was
all
like,
time.
okay, we have to argue. Anyways, back to Super Bowl. I would just like to state that the Steelers should be in it if Ben was healthy. That's all I have to say about the matter.
Probably not.
It was a
Anyways,
great week 1. Great week 1.
I think
They were
it's.
closer than the
I think
Bears.
this is gonna be really fun to watch. I feel like both teams are scoring a lot right now. Obviously, you have Patrick Mahomes is unstoppable. He's so fun to watch. But 49ers have a lot of offensive production too. And I mean, I like high scoring Super Bowl, high scoring games in general are fun to watch. But if there's not a lot of scoring in the Super Bowl, it's kind of like especially when it's
Last
like not
year's
your
Super
team.
Bowl was horrible.
Yeah,
sucked.
I don't even remember.
Awful.
I can't
Punt
remember
Bowl.
watching that. I
It was
don't.
10-3. That was the final score.
13.
That was
13-3.
13-3, whatever.
13-3.
I don't care what it was. It was less than 17 points.
Yeah, that's.
It's the lowest scoring all time.
I want a high scoring Super Bowl because I don't. This isn't my team, so I just want to watch some fun scoring. I want to watch some fun Mahomes touchdowns.
Garoppolo hasn't had to like win anything yet in the playoffs, but like he can do it. Like remember that Saints game?
I don't know. Beating Rodgers was impressive.
No, it was, but he only
Like-
had to throw
I mean,
it
he
8
threw 8
times.
passes.
Yeah,
You know, but I think he
Yeah.
can win
was
a game
most-
if he
Yeah.
has to.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
not nervous about Garoppolo like choking under pressure or anything.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm happy it's the matchup that it was. I mean, first of all, I didn't want to see the Packers there because I hate them. Sorry,
saw the
Nathan
Titans,
Dahan.
though.
I hate the Packers. But I'm happy. I'm also happy it's the Chiefs. Like, the Titans were a fun story, but, like, they're the Titans. Like,
But
I really
I
want to
feel
see
like
Ryan
Yeah.
Tannehill
I mean, they
try it
probably
out
wouldn't
there.
have
Yeah.
had a chance against the Niners.
Yeah. So I'm happy it's a matchup it is. And I think it will be a really good game, but I thought that last year, too.
I just can't
And I
see
think-
this not being a high scoring game.
I don't know, man.
Last
The
year,
49ers
though-
have a really good defense.
Yeah, but Mahomes, no one's stopping Mahomes right now. Like okay, how many touchdowns do you guys think he's gonna throw? I say
I think 4.
I'll go 3.
I'm gonna go 4.
I'm going to say 2.
He's just I don't know.
I'd
like
have to look at his numbers down the stretch, but the 49ers defense is really good, and their
What, did
pass
he-
rush is insane.
he scored like what 3? He threw 3 touchdowns in what 3 minutes?
Something insane against the Texans, yeah.
But
It just looked like clockwork for
Well, yeah,
him.
but
It
they
didn't even look.
Grants have touchdowns.
It didn't
on
even look
7 consecutive
hard. He
It
was
can
possessions.
be
just-
23 in the fourth quarter and it's not over. Like the Chiefs could score like 3 quick touchdowns or something.
Is he like the young version of like Aaron
Favre?
Rodgers? Oh no, I was thinking like Aaron Rodgers
I
because
think
you know,
Aaron Rodgers is
like,
a better comp.
you know, because like Aaron Rodgers, you always think like late game Hail Mary. Aaron Rodgers is never out. I feel like Mahomes has kind of showed that he can always bring.
He's got the accuracy too.
Yeah,
Brett
he can
Favre
always bring
is
them back in
known
the
as
game.
Gunslinger, but
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, like he can throw it 80 yards, but he can also throw that 20-yard out route that like 3 guys can make. Like Mahomes is legit.
No, his footwork. It all comes from his footwork too, and that's what's so impressive is that people always focus on the ability that he has all these different arm angles that he can throw from, whether it's the sidearm or it's way over the top or it's the easy little flick of the wrist. Being able to do all of that comes from having impressive footwork.
Well,
And
also arm strength. Because
yeah, of course, yeah. But having footwork is what sets you up to make those throws, and that's something that you see very few quarterbacks have. The footwork that he has, especially in the pocket, and he's just so poised and controlled in the pocket, and he's willing to step up into the pocket, and he's willing to step out of it and make a play with his legs if he has to, and he always seems to find the open guy downfield. So
I have a question.
I have an answer.
Well, it's for everyone, but you
Well,
can
I
have
have
an
mine.
answer. You can have your answer. What's everyone's favorite? I'm sorry, I have to ask. What's everyone's favorite Super Bowl like snack or like dish?
Wings.
You know what I mean? I feel like this is such a good question.
Boneless wings.
Boneless mild, good.
Wings or just chips and guac.
See, I'm gonna say buffalo chicken dip.
My aunt makes. I was literally
Yeah.
thinking about that. That thing's amazing.
Buffalo chicken dip is really good.
Yeah.
I feel like dip is just like a Super Bowl thing. You know
I
what I
feel
mean?
like dip is good in general.
I know, but like it's always
Any big game.
okay.
you know,
Whatever.
like,
Sorry, I'm just thinking of the Super Bowl.
Dip's a Super Bowl thing. I could see that.
Yeah, like and then like wings. Wings are a good one.
I think
You
it's like
prefer
Buffalo
guac
Wild
for
Wings
Super Bowl?
like biggest.
I love guac.
I like
Yeah.
guac too, but not for the Super Bowl.
What?
It's like that's.
No, I mean, I
Guac?
like it
No,
for the
you can
Super
eat
Bowl.
guac
Dude, I
at
can
every
eat guac
party.
for breakfast. Like I'll eat guac more than ever. Just
You guys
mean,
are
just
like the
scooping guac.
definition of
No,
millennials
okay, that
right
makes
now, by
sense.
the way. Like, everyone's like, wow, these kids, guac
Guac.
toast.
Just
Okay,
get rid-
because it's
Guac
like
toast.
I mean avocado. I had avocado toast this morning.
Yeah, you're the definition of a millennial.
I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah, I don't know. Buffalo chicken dip though. That's what I'll be making.
I don't know. I'm not opposed to it, so I don't know.
Have you ever had buffalo chicken dip?
I love buffalo chicken dip.
I'm gonna be honest. I've
I
never
didn't
had
think
it.
people ate it. I thought it was just
Really?
me.
I don't eat it
No,
that
it's good,
much,
yeah.
but it's good.
All right, you two aren't going to get an ability to do picks on the air, right?
Well,
Do you
neither
know?
are you two.
Well, yeah, I know. I was going to say Gabby and I are going to do ours, but do you guys want to do them real quick?
Yeah, let's do.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
no one hears me on the Thursday show this week.
Yeah. I'm going to take 49ers over the Chiefs by the score of 31-28.
I'm gonna go Chiefs 35-27.
I'm gonna go Chiefs 30-27.
I actually am not prepared. Hold on, give me 2 seconds to see the scoreboard.
Opinion of the halftime show. Who is it?
Okay,
It's
got
J-Lo.
it.
Oh, it's
J-Lo
J-Lo
and
and Shakira.
Shakira, yeah.
Very good this year, I'm
That's a
hoping.
good one.
Anyways, I'm gonna go 38. Chiefs 38. 49ers 20.
Oh my god.
Double digits. All right.
Wow.
She's a 20
Okay.
This is gonna be so wrong, but that's just what I felt in my mind. So
Okay.
you guys have to
A
just
late
bear with-
touchdown. It could be a close game, but then like a late touchdown. You know.
Yeah. I'm saying 38 for the Chiefs.
All
They're
right. Over under a minute and a half, or no,
Over.
it's 2 minutes for the national anthem. Over under 2 minutes for the
Always
national anthem.
oh, these are
I'm
so
taking
good.
over.
Who's singing it this year?
I don't
Demi
know.
Lovato, I think.
I hope
hammer
it's
the over.
Fergie.
Over.
Just kidding.
Hammer the over.
It's Demi Lovato. Over 2 minutes.
Yeah,
The
for
best
sure.
prop
For
bet
sure.
ever was Mark Cuban bet that the first score would be a safety in the Seahawks Broncos game, and it was.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Genius.
All right. So Super Bowl Sunday, we're going to talk about it on the Tuesday show. I'm sure we're also going to be able to talk about an Illinois basketball game on Sunday.
Wait, hold on. Rewind. Did you guys say you guys think the halftime show's gonna be good?
Yeah, I do.
It's fine.
I think it'll be fun.
I'm a big
It'll be
fan of
fun.
Shakira.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that.
I like Shakira.
You can keep going with what you
I
were
like her,
saying.
like,
I'm done.
shows.
I'm
She
mad
puts
I
on a good
asked.
show.
Will
I'm
A-Rod
upset I
come out
asked.
for the halftime show?
No.
You don't think so?
What'd you say?
Will
No.
A-Rod come out for the halftime?
He'll be very,
show?
he'll
I
be
hope
very
so.
supportive, but no.
He'll be supportive from his box seat.
That he probably didn't have to pay for, despite being one of the
He
wealthiest
actually met
athletes
somebody
ever.
that's richer than him. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, power children. All right, that
lucky
is
them.
all the time we have for this edition of Illini Drive. Be here tomorrow night, Wednesday, for the Wednesday crew, which is led by Brendan Jones, Nathan DeHaan, and Jake. So listen in
And
tomorrow.
Alex.
Oh yeah, and Alex. I forgot.
Sorry
Alex.
he cut you out, Alex.
Sorry, Alex.
I got you.
Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week. This group will.